Chapter 9, Crop Production and its Management. All living organisms require food for their growth and sustenance. In the previous class, we have classified the organisms on the basis of the nutrition. There are two types. One is autotrophs, the other is heterotrophs. Autotrophs are those organisms which can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, whereas heterotrophs are the organisms which cannot prepare their own food. Example of autotrophs are all green plants. Heterotrophs example is man, non-green plants. Earlier, the man used to gather food from the forest. Later on, he started settling at the places closer to the water resources. Around 10,000 years ago, man discovered that by planting the seeds, he could grow the plants that gave him food. He became a food producer from a food gatherer. That is, earlier he used to gather food, he used to collect food, and now he is cultivating the food, he is producing the food by himself. So this activity gradually became more and more systematic, and the practice of cultivating the crop started, which is known as crop production. It is the cultivation of one type of plants on large scale. There is one more word we are using, that is agriculture. It is the practice of cultivating the land for growing crops. At the same time, man also started domesticating animals along with the agriculture. This branch of agriculture, in which it is the branch of agriculture which is concerned with animals that are raised for meat, eggs, or any other products which you are getting from the animals. We have different type of crops. We are classifying the crops on the basis of seasons in which they are sown, in which they are harvested. We have two types of crops. One is Rabi crops and another is Kharif crops. The Rabi crops, they are grown from October to April. That is, they are sown in the October and they are harvested in the April. Whereas Kharif crops, they are grown from June to October. Rabi crops, they are not dependent on the monsoon. The Kharif crops, they are sown in the June, when you have the monsoon. They are dependent on the monsoon. The example of the Rabi crops are wheat, gram, peas. Example of Kharif crops are paddy and maize. The farmers are doing many activities for cultivating the crops, which are known as agricultural practices. These are the activities which are done by the farmer for the cultivation of the plant. For the cultivation of the plant. Agriculture practices, these are activities done by the farmer for the cultivation of the plants. The tools which are used by the farmers, tools used by the farmer for the cultivation of plants are known as agriculture implements. So agriculture practices which are required for the growth of the plants, agriculture practices which are required for growing crops, they have to be done in the sequence. The various practices are, the number one is preparation of the soil. That is, before growing the crops, we are preparing the soil. Number two, sowing of seeds. That is, planting the seeds in the soil. Number three is addition of manures and fertilizers. Next is giving water to the crop, supplying the water, that is irrigation, supply of water. Next, crop protection, that is protecting the crops from pests and weeds. Next is harvesting, cutting the matured crop. Last is storage, cut crop. So we are going to study each agriculture practice in sequence and in detail. The number one is preparation of the soil. As we all know, the plants grow in the soil, and soil is a very good medium for the germination and the growth of the seeds. So before sowing the seeds, we have to prepare the soil. This preparation of the soil, it involves loosening and turning of soil. This loosening and turning of the soil is known as plowing or tilling, one and the same thing. The implement used for this preparation of the soil is wooden or iron plow. This wooden or iron plow is pulled either by the oxen or by the tractor. The various advantages of this method, why the preparation of the soil has to be done. Number one is, it improves the air circulation. It improves the air circulation so that roots can respire easily. Next is, roots can penetrate deeper into the soil. If the soil is loosened, if the soil is loose, the roots can easily penetrate, and by this, the plants are held firmly in the soil. It also increases the water retaining capacity, water retaining capacity of the soil. If the soil is loose, more water will be absorbed, retained by the soil. Next is, it uproots the weed. Weeds are unwanted plants that grow along with the crop in the field. So it uproots the weed and helps in the growth of microorganisms. When we are plowing the field, we have big pieces of soil. They are known as crumbs, and these crumbs are crushed with a wooden plank. By the wooden plank, we crush the big pieces of soil, and this wooden plank is also helping in leveling the things. That is, the soil is leveled, and this leveling of the soil or crushing of the crumbs, that soil is needed for the sowing and for the irrigation purposes, and the leveling of the soil is done by the leveler. Next agriculture practices we'll be doing in the next video.